Picture this for a second. You're standing right in the middle of a massive, completely blank canvas of raw dirt. We're talking nothing but sparse trees, maybe some rolling hills, or even a dry, cracked desert stretching literally as far as your eyes can see. There are no fairways, no perfectly manicured greens, no bunkers, just raw, unyielding earth. So how on earth do you take that empty, kind of intimidating space and actually transform it into a world-class golf destination? You know, the kind of place golfers obsess over long before they ever pack their bags and remember for the rest of their lives. Well, welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to dive into exactly how that magical transformation happens. To really wrap our heads around this kind of architectural magic, we've got to look at the guy who basically defined the modern era of this sport. We're talking about Tom Fazio. Now, Fazio is arguably America's absolute most sought-after modern golf architect, but his core philosophy? It's actually incredibly humble. He believes every piece of property has a story, and his job is just to discover it, not rewrite it. He absolutely refuses to force his own narrative onto the landscape. His ultimate promise to the golfer is that a great course should inspire you before you even take a single swing. He's an absolute master at crafting these championship-caliber experiences that look totally effortless but demand some seriously extraordinary craftsmanship behind the scenes.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover his philosophy, pure imagination, quiet restraint, controlled drama, his respected legacy, and finally, the overall experience. Let's get right into it.
Starting with Section 1, the philosophy, leading with the landscape.
To kick things off, we really need to understand the fundamental philosophy driving Fazio's massive rise. By the late 1980s, developers started realizing something huge. Just attaching Fazio's name to a project added instant, undeniable prestige before a single shovel even hit the dirt. And looking at his track record, it's easy to see why. He was hitting perfect marks across the board: course beauty, strategic variety, environmental stewardship, championship pedigree, and lasting prestige. He didn't just build hard courses, and he certainly didn't just build pretty ones. His relentless focus was on delivering a championship-caliber experience that celebrated the natural landscape. For Fazio, the land always led the way, and the architecture just quietly followed.
So you might be wondering, what exactly makes a Fazio course feel like a Fazio course? Well, it's because he acts a lot less like a traditional engineer and way more like a film director crafting a complete emotional experience. He builds up massive anticipation with these dramatic entrances. He frames spectacular scenery to actually enhance the strategy, not overshadow it. He gives you multiple options from the tee to the green, creating this championship-level difficulty that still somehow manages to feel fair, incredibly luxurious, and just plain fun for the everyday player.
And man, did this approach work. Throughout the late 80s and 90s, Fazio entered an era of just unmatched dominance. You can see it right here, from Wade Hampton in 1987 all the way to Victoria National in 1998. He proved time and time again that if you just let the landscape lead, you can create something completely extraordinary. To really grasp how he pulled this off, we're going to look super closely at 4 of these monumental projects, starting with a true test of vision back in 1989.
Moving to Section 2, pure imagination. Shadow Creek.
This brings us to a project fueled by literally nothing but pure imagination. Back in 1989, legendary casino developer Steve Wynn came to Fazio with a vision that most architects would have laughed straight out of the room. Wynn handed him a plot of the harsh Mojave Desert just north of Las Vegas. We are talking about a completely barren wasteland with absolutely nothing you traditionally associate with championship golf. Minimal natural water, sparse scrubby vegetation, barely any trees. Oh, and extreme summer temperatures that would test the survival of pretty much any living plant, let alone a lush fairway. Most architects, they'd take one look at this baked dirt and walk away entirely.
But not Fazio. He didn't see a wasteland. He saw an oasis just waiting to be born. The engineering, planning, and artistry required to pull this off were honestly staggering. It's like a giant puzzle. Step 1, they literally transplanted thousands of mature trees straight into the desert. Step 2, they carved out and constructed wandering streams from the dust. Step 3, they engineered massive lakes specifically placed to reflect the surrounding mountains. And finally, Step 4, they somehow rolled these pristine emerald fairways right over what was once completely barren earth.
When this place finally opened, visitors were just completely stunned. The most common thing people said was simply, "It doesn't seem possible." And that's the thing. Fazio's greatest triumph at Shadow Creek wasn't just the sheer mechanical feat of conquering the harsh desert. It was the incredible psychological trick of making golfers completely forget they were even standing in one. It was world-building on a massive, epic scale.
Now for Section 3,
Quiet restraint. Wade Hampton.
Now, it's important to note that Fazio wasn't some one-trick pony. He didn't just bulldoze everything everywhere he went. Wade Hampton, nestled deep within the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, perfectly showcases his pure, unadulterated restraint. Instead of forcing a manufactured oasis into existence, Fazio just let the course seem like it grew, naturally and inevitably right out of the mountain valleys. Built in 1987, it's still praised today for its natural integration, quiet confidence, and completely untouched elegance.
It's basically the architectural equivalent of a no-makeup makeup look. You know, requiring immense effort to look like you didn't do anything at all. Very little out there appears artificial. The natural hardwood forests do all the heavy lifting of framing the holes. Native streams just wander quietly beside the fairways. Even the elevation changes don't feel engineered. They feel entirely inevitable. Walking this course is genuinely like walking through a masterpiece in a gallery. It doesn't shout at you to admire it. It just quietly and confidently lets you discover its beauty at your own pace.
All right, on to Section 4. Controlled Drama, Victoria National.
So we've seen his pure imagination and his quiet restraint. But what happens when the land actively fights back? Well, Victoria National in Indiana was this incredibly rugged, wild site completely dominated by wetlands, native grasses, thick woodlands, and some really complex natural water features. A lesser architect definitely would have drained the swamps and bulldozed the grasses just to make the site more manageable. But Fazio, he completely embraced them. He used these imposing natural obstacles to dictate the entire flow of the course, creating this tense, dramatic round of golf that demands absolute commitment on every single swing you take.
In this setup brilliantly illustrates the golfer's constant dilemma and exactly why strategy matters so much here. Fazio is constantly forcing a choice on you. Option A, do you play safely away from the hazards but accept a much longer, tougher putt? Or option B, do you bravely challenge those wetlands to attack the flag for a birdie opportunity? Every single risk offers an equal reward. It demands really thoughtful planning. But here's the kicker. Despite its incredible difficulty, the course never, ever feels unfair.
Which brings us to Section 5, Respected Legacy, Pinehurst number 8.
Finally, let's talk about the unique challenge of history. Back in 1996, Fazio was asked to design a brand new course at one of the world's most revered golf resorts, Pinehurst. Now, any architect stepping foot at Pinehurst has to immediately contend with a ghost. The legendary legacy of Donald Ross permeates those grounds. His towering historical influence surrounds absolutely every fairway, every crowned green, and every strategic angle of the resort. So designing a course here, it brings an immense amount of historical pressure. The expectation is just incredibly heavy. So how in the world did Fazio handle that kind of pressure? With profound humility. He didn't try to vainly compete with Donald Ross, but he also absolutely refused to just lazily imitate him. Fazio's solution was to deeply honor the history and respect the traditions of the property, all while bringing in his own modern architectural concepts. He chose to stand comfortably beside history rather than trying to overwrite it. This perfect blend of innovation and deep respect proved that he wasn't just a builder. He was a true student and a steward of the game.
Section 6. The Experience, a Lasting Legacy. Which really brings us to the culmination of his incredible career. By the turn of the century, what did it truly mean when a club proudly announced they had a Tom Fazio course? It meant the Fazio Promise. It guaranteed a course that was undeniably beautiful, deeply strategic, welcoming to the player, and ultimately totally unforgettable. The most amazing thing about Tom Fazio is that despite all the immense prestige attached to his name, he never once sought out celebrity status. His focus stayed exactly where it was on day one, on the natural land, on the golfer's emotional journey, and on the quiet, profound satisfaction of leaving a piece of property significantly better than he found it. It really makes you rethink what it means to design something truly great. Is true architectural brilliance found in what a designer builds, or is it actually in what they bravely choose to leave completely alone? Tom Fazio's incredible legacy suggests the answer is knowing the perfect balance between the two. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And hey, keep exploring the stories hidden in the landscapes right around you.